All right, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the Board of Directors for the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District, our regular meeting for October 23rd, 2025. Director Costa, would you lead us in the pledge?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director. Can we get the roll call, please?
Yes. Director Sailors.
Present.
Director Gould, not here, absent. Director Stark.
Here.
Director Weber.
Here.
Director Wood.
Here.
Director Costa.
Here.
Director Clark. Directors Rice and Jones will not be with us or absent this evening. And for the record, General Counsel Lavra is joining us on Zoom tonight. Thank you
very much. We'll move on to the Metro Cable announcement. Tonight's meeting is being recorded. It will be replayed on Metro Cable Channel 14 on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse systems. It will be closed captioned and streamed also on metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will replay at 6 o'clock on Monday, October 27, and again at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, October 29, 2025 on Metro Cable Channel 14. It can also be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Right now is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on matters on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, I have one speaker card from Roger Mitchell.
Excellent. Good evening, Mr. Mitchell.
Directors, chief, staff, public. My name is Roger Mitchell, and I have three things I'd like to mention tonight. The bags you have before you, those were the bags that were in front of every member that came to our fundraising dinner. Now, that what you have in them is different than what they had, but I would like to explain what those are. Three things. Number one, there's a newspaper in there. The person came to Old 111 and asked some questions, they'd heard about the restoration. He wasn't telling me that it was even going to be published, and unbeknownst to us, it popped up a couple of weeks later. So we gave you a copy of that in your bag there tonight. Secondly, the Horseless Carriage Club of America, that event that was put on at Station 111 by your public information officer, we have in the newsletter for the group that I belong to, it's called the Northern California Regional Group of the Horseless Carriage Club of America. This is their full club newspaper that they put out. In your bag tonight, you have a 3-page article all about that event, and I think you'll find that very interesting. Now to our fundraising dinner. It was very successful. I would tell you that the chief was involved in a very lively, shall we say, auction item. Unfortunately, he wasn't successful, but I think he got the price up to where what happened was it was a $700 item. So, Chief, thank you for that. But what I'd like to do is invite Mark Siebert up, head of your logistics. He came to the dinner at, I think it was 7 or 8 in the morning with a truckload of help, and they brought ice and they brought tables and but I would like him to come forward and tell you what they did. I think that's important, and let him read the names into the record tonight of everybody that came from Metro Fire to help us. So with that, Mark.
Good evening, directors, Chief House, colleagues, and members of the public. Mark Siebert, your logistics manager, and also your reserve firefighter. So like Roger said, there was a good amount of reserve firefighters that came with us to help with the event. It's nice to be able to give back to the community and just do these type of events, especially bringing up the next group of young folks, getting to see some of us older folks and helping out. So I'll read you the good list. So we had 2 cooks that kind of help with the event, which are retired employees from the district. So you have Scott Courtney, who was one of our mechanics for a long time, and then Curtis Banks, who was one of our fire inspectors. So it's nice that, Scott lives in Idaho, if you don't know that, and comes back for this event every year to help cook. And he spends all day doing that. And just the dedication to him alone to come down and do that, is remarkable. And that's just, that's the love with the fire district, right? Is that people care and are still willing to come back and do events, even though they've been retired for years or just, a little bit of time. So also our reserve firefighters. So we have Dennis Berry, myself, Dave Manley. So those are the long-term folks, as I'll call us. And then we had 3 brand new folks. So Kaylin Camacho, Dylan Rector, and Shane Smith. So it was nice to have them kind of be part of the event, kind of see what we're doing. So helping cook, prep all the food, get everything ready, helping set all the tables up, delivering all the ice, getting all the drinks ready to go, helping people in and out, whatever was needed. So that was kind of what the big reserve group. It was a nice long day. We helped clean up. A lot of us are older helpers. So it was nice to have just a bunch of, manpower is nice when you need help. So it was nice to have a big group versus, the small core group this year. So that's all I have. So I'll turn it back over to Roger. Thank you very much.
Any questions, Director and/or Chief?
Any comments, or questions for Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Siebert? I just want to say thanks for all the work you guys did. It was great to see the young reserve firefighters there. They had a great attitude, very enthusiastic, positive, all night long with that crowd. They were always had a smile on. So very positive for the future, their future and ours. So thanks for all that.
You're welcome, Director. I think I told you this last meeting I was here. If not, I think this needs to be mentioned. In this organization that we put this event on, it's important that we always give credit to what people do to help us. And that's why we asked Mark to come forward and read those names. This was a 14-hour day for all of us. So, and then the one thing that it really impressed me was when the chief came, I asked the chief to say a few words. And I told the chief, I says, and we've also asked Director Ted Woods to say a few words. So the chief came back to me and said, we had this discussion and we went over and we would like the leader of our logistics department, Mr. Siebert, to speak for the district. And I will tell you, gentlemen, he did a fantastic job. And if I could ask Director Wood or the chief to say a few words on behalf of the person that they picked to speak for the district, I think that would be appropriate.
Oh, go ahead, Chief. You first.
Sure, I'll go ahead. I was going to tell you, Roger, because you asked me if I had anything to say. Thank you for keeping our history alive. Thank you for doing that. It takes a rare person to do that, and you're one of those. So keeping our history and traditions in the fire service alive is vitally important. And Director President Wood and I had a short conversation. We felt it most appropriate for Mark Siebert to speak because he's a local boy in the community and was able to articulate a truthful, heartfelt reason of why we were doing that, why we were there, and he was the right person to speak. And Mark is a genuine, just good human being all the way around. And thank you, Mark, for everything you do, the reserve status you seem to maintain forever, and all the people that you're able to get together and put all that work and time and effort. When we have somebody fly back from Idaho and you're leading and managing that, that's tremendous. And all the people out there just did a great job. So thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better than the chief. I understand the chief talking, but when you asked me, I just couldn't figure out why you did that. Nobody there knows me. Nobody wants to hear from me, but Mark was the best choice. So he's your new world-class speaker, I think. You just kind of got yourself picked, Mark. Yeah, go ahead, Director Weber.
Mark, how long have you been a firefighter?
It'll be 27 and a half years.
Goodness.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? Thanks so much to both of you.
One last comment here. I asked the chief at this dinner to, I guess I should put it this way, ask me to tell the people why this has driven me. And I did that because in a meeting with our new supervisor, who also has helped us with this dinner, in the meeting that we had with her to ask her, she looked at me and she said, "Roger, what's driving you to do this?" And that was the second time I had been asked. So she asked me to do this at this dinner. So I asked the chief. It might sound self-serving, chief, but it wasn't. It came from the supervisor. She wanted me to tell the crowd what's driving me. It's only this will be the fourth time in public. I don't want to do this again. I really don't. But when I was 16 years old, just a new volunteer in Rio Linda, my dad and then the assistant chief, Les Crane, we jumped in his vehicle and he took us up to a ranch about 12 miles out of Rio Linda. And there in this big barn sat Rio Linda number 2, covered with dust and dirt. And we have pictures of that, and someday you'll see them all. But the only reason we knew it was Rio Linda is because it was right on the hood, Rio Linda. So as we were leaving, driveway about a quarter of a mile long, this was a ranch that raised rice. And all the tractors were in there around this old fire truck engine, excuse me, gentlemen. And Les told my dad, and this is the tough part, these 2 men had been restoring Model Ts. Les Crane was a body and fender man by trade, pretty well known in the western half of the United States. He was that good. So he looked at my dad, he said, "Dick, someday we got to get he either said number 2 or the LaFrance. I don't remember that, but he said, we got to get her back and restore her and put her in her rightful place next to old Betsy." They never got around to it. That one sentence is what this is all about. So, chief and directors, don't ask me to tell this story again in public. It's too tough. Any last questions?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our consent items. Do I have any questions on the consent calendar? Do I have a motion for its passage? I got a motion
Second.
and a second. Can we get the roll, please?
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Stark.
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Weber,
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
President Wood.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Consent calendar is adopted.
Thank you. Move on to presentation items, the annual pension valuation and Metro 14 comparison. CFO O'Toole, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, President Wood, directors, Chief House, and colleagues and members of the public. So I just want to observe first that we're taking this out of order. We're going to get the right slide up in a moment, just because the topic, the annual pension valuation Metro 14 comparison kind of is more of a baseline understanding before we get into the performance of the CalPERS funds. So it will make sense. Okay, so let's see. For this presentation, annual pension valuation Metro 14 comparison, I'm going to share major findings in CalPERS's most recent valuation of our pension plan, and as well as a comparison with Metro 14 agencies. If you recall, I did this presentation last year, so this is an annual update on this topic. Let's see, the annual pension valuation from CalPERS provides updated market performance data on our pension plan, as well as the anticipated costs we'll have to pay next year into the plan. This report is part of CalPERS's annual statement to its members and to the state of California and to local agencies like ourselves. It includes the fiscal condition of the agency's plan, how our contribution amounts affect the overall level of fundedness, and the cost to ensure all future retiree costs are covered. We'll also look backward at some trends in our two plans and review the most recent reported market returns. So jumping in, this is a little bit of background on our plan, pretty high level, comparing a year ago, July 24 to July 2025. First thing to note is if you last year when I had this presentation, we had 3 rows. We had a safety plan, a miscellaneous, and a PEPRA. CalPERS has combined the miscellaneous PEPRA into miscellaneous plan. It's noted there includes miscellaneous PEPRA now. And it's a relatively small change for us because we're largely a safety plan agency. That's where the bulk of our spending occurs and the bulk of our staff are located. So as you can see under active employees, the number of safety plan employees went from 607 to 642, a 5.8% jump. On the miscellaneous, it went from 88 to 95. Our retirees and the safeties went from 860 to 870, small increase, and then a small decrease on the miscellaneous plan of 160 to 158. The plan funded ratio, which is basically your assets divided by your liabilities, improved for both plans, safety and miscellaneous, up to 64.1% on safety and 73.8% on the miscellaneous. Our total pension payments, and I'll get into this a little bit later, we're expecting them in 26, 27 to rise again, as they have for several years, although by a lower percentage than we've seen in recent years, and a lower amount. So we expect it to go from about 63 million to 67, almost 68 million on the safety plan side next fiscal year. And then on the miscellaneous, increasing to 3.6 million from 3.3. So there's just some high level numbers on the plan and what we expect to see next year. This is a CalPERS slide, and what it is showing is the investment return. So one of the big drivers when we talk about funded ratios, the assets divided by liabilities, a big part of that is how CalPERS did in the market. So this is showing that over the last 20 years, they had positive returns in 17 of those 20 years. Probably notable in the recent years was in June 30th, 2022, when there was a 27.4 swing from 21.3 down to negative 6.1. So that really affected our contribution significantly that year. And since then, the market performance has improved from 5.8% to 9.3%. Important thing to note there is that bluish green line across the middle there, around 6.8%. That's the target return for CalPERS. So this in 2024, they exceeded it. They had 9.3%. And that contributed significantly, but not exclusively, to our improved funded ratios and our safety and miscellaneous plans. So now in these next 2 slides, we'll look at those plans, starting with miscellaneous classic and PEPRA, the combined plan now. Let's see, the blue bar is employees' normal costs, the cost to fund the pension system for the year specified. And as you can see, that blue bar kind of growing gradually over the 10 years shown there. And the red bars are the unfunded liability. You can see how that grows pretty consistently as well through 27, 28, and then starts to level off as what is hoped for is that those market returns start to come in consistently at 6.8. That's what that would look like. By 2030-31, we are forecast to pay about 1.5 million in annual normal contribution costs and 3 million in unfunded accrued liability for non-safety employees. That's what that looks like at the end of by 2030-31. So next slide is employer costs. So looking at the safety plan. Let's see, notice the blue column or the normal costs again grows slowly but fairly steadily across the period there. That's our annual contributions to the plan for existing employees. And then the red column, the unfunded accrued liability, tends to grow steadily overall by about 5 million a year on average before leveling off in the later forecasted years. Altogether, the combined normal cost in UAL has risen from about 45 million all the way to the left in 21-22. Up to about 67 million in 26-27 and about 78 million in 2030-31. That last year, the employer's normal cost is around 22 million and the unfunded accrued liability is about 56 million. The upward trend that you see there may not continue forever, and we certainly hope it does not, but due to an increase in PEPRA employees, contribution amounts should peak around 2030-31 before that column starts to get shorter. So maybe perhaps next year with improved returns, you'll actually see for the first time in many years that column is actually is reducing, which would mean a reduced contribution from that last year to the next. Okay, this next slide is prior year's funded ratios for district retirement plans. So we spent a lot of time talking about the funded ratio. Again, that's the assets divided by liabilities generally. The noted at the bottom of that slide is the average funded ratio for CalPERS for all local agencies is about 75%. So that means they've got about 3/4 of the resources they need to pay off their liabilities if they had to do it tomorrow. And as you can see, the general trend is improving funded ratios through 21-22, and then a sharp dip. Remember, I mentioned that swing in the market in the CalPERS investments. So part of the reason you saw a big dip right there, where market returns fell to and then you're kind of seeing a slow rise from 22-23 to the right there. To focus just on the lower red line, that's the safety plan. The funded ratio for all safety plans in CalPERS now is around 75%, as noted at the bottom there, and compared to our 64.1% share. That situation alone suggests that the district consider supplemental contributions, which is a reminder, the district did make a supplemental contribution of $1 million in the mid-year last year. So that kind of thing improves the situation for our safety plan. The next two slides are, again, this is a repeat of last year. Just updated these slides with another year's worth of annual accounting reports. And this first one will look at pension, and then on this next slide, we're going to show you OPEB. So this is Metro 14 agencies are frequently used for points of compensation, and I added in Casuna's Community Services District, which is not part of Metro 14, but I just thought it'd be a local comparison to use. As you can see, shown in the red line, the average across all 15 organizations is 76.1% funded. Metro Fire is at 64.1%. The highest in the group is Ventura County at 97.1% funded, and the lowest is the City of Oakland at 61.9%. So Metro Fire is number 14 out of the 15 shown there. For reference, last year we were 15 out of 15, so that is progress, as it were. The next slide, again, as I mentioned, this is OPEB. So looking at the same agencies, now we're just looking at the non-retirement, mainly health-related costs that we have committed to our retirees. So we have, as a reminder, we've been making supplemental contributions to a trust fund since 2013. And so we're substantially better off in this situation. Let's see, as you can see here, shown on the orange horizontal line, the average across all 15 organizations is 42.4% funded on their OPEB liabilities. Metro Fire is at 24.7% funded. Again, the highest is Ventura County at 106.8%. So they're more than they would need tomorrow if they had to pay off all their liabilities. The lowest was the City of Long Beach, has not begun setting aside funds for their OPEB liabilities. So they're doing a pay-as-you-go approach. And Metro Fire was number 10 out of 15 agencies on this chart. So some future considerations on risks. So the expected contribution next year is about 5.2 million, 7.9%. That's about $1.5 million less than what we contributed this year. So that it is growth, but it's not growth like we saw last year. So that is good news. Let's see, other risks. So the funded ratios for the district's two plans is below the CalPERS safety plan's average of 75%. CalPERS projections incorporate a wage growth of 2.8% annually. So to the extent we exceed that in any given year, we would be contributing more relative to CalPERS's forecast anyway. Some options to address those shortfalls. Let's see. CalPERS encourages departments to make special contributions to adopt shorter amortization schedules to reduce costs later. Some of those options are invest in the CalPERS Employees Pension Pre-Funding Trust, again, which we started just earlier this calendar year, and invest in the CalPERS OPEB Trust, which we've been doing since 2013. An independent pension liability review helps. This looks like having a third party come in and look at your pension investments and strategies. So a recommended option. It's also probably worth remembering or pointing out that the district's board policy as a board policy that any excess, this is in the reserve policy, any excess funds over 15% reserve go 50% to long-term debt and 50% to capital. So to the extent we reach this at 15% reserve, we would be automatically setting aside 50% there for pension debts. So this is your annual pension valuation update, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Quick question. On the last slide, you mentioned our policy, if we're at a reserve of 50%, anything above that is 50%. When was the last time we were at 15%?
Before my time, I think it was around 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
I can give you a better number there, but
No, that's good. I'm just
yeah.
thinking as we're looking at this and we're considering options. The last time was 2020. And then as we look out the next 5 years, we're not there.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just giving some consideration to that. Thank you.
The projections that we have for CalPERS, when were those, do you know when those were calculated? What information was used at that time?
So the calculations for, this is where it gets funny because it's different. There's a 2-year lag. So the calculations for 26-27 for that would be effective July 1, 26-27 we have a person from CalPERS who's going to come up in a moment too, but I'm going to take this one on my own. June 30th of 2024. Yeah, because and then 2 years after that is 26-27. Yes.
Right. So the stuff that is the data from this year's economy won't affect us until 2030.
Yeah. So as you may have heard, CalPERS had an excellent year in the market. I showed it a 9.3 a year ago. And what we'll see 2 years from then is 11% reserve. So we expect further improvement in our funded level based on that, but it won't kick in until July 1, 2027.
All right, thanks.
Mhm.
Any other comments, questions? All right, thank you, Mr. O'Toole. You can stay there because we're moving on to the CalPERS CERT and the CEPPT account update.
Great. And thank you again. I'm going to bring up Teresa Lowe from CalPERS to present the update on these pension investments and OPEB.
Thank you, CFO O'Toole. I appreciate it. You did a very good job, actually, of explaining the pension. So great job. Sorry, one technical question. Should I be able to see the presentation here on my screen? No? Okay, excellent. I'll just look up then. I will raise my head. Thank you to the board for having me. Thanks everyone here in the public meeting. I appreciate you inviting me today. So the purpose of this presentation is to give the board an update on the CERPT and the CEPT accounts for the fire district. These are the Section 115 pre-funding accounts for both OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, specifically healthcare in retirement, and the pension itself. So these have a internal revenue code designation of 115. That's why we refer to them as Section 115 trusts. And just for transparency, CalPERS does take care of 2 of these trusts. So my name is Therese. I work actually at CalPERS, but specifically only with these 2 trusts. The first one I'll go over today is the California Employers Retiree Benefit Trust that is designated to OPEB. And the second one, the California Employers Pension Pre-Funding Trust dedicated to pension. So I will try and be clear and succinct about the differences between them, but we'll dive into the OPEB trust first, the CERPT. That was established by CalPERS in 2007. And at the moment, we have just about 599 employers who participate in that trust, $26 billion of assets under management. The pension trust is newer, established in 2019. 103 employers participate with us there. These numbers change every month pretty much, but currently $322 million of assets under management in that trust. So we'll begin with the CERPT account. That's for the OPEB pre-funding. Oh, I skipped ahead there. There we go. So we'll take a look at the GASB 75 valuations. These are actually provided to the district by McLeod Watts, your consulting OPEB actuary. So we can see some differences between the 2021 and 2023 valuations. Not a huge amount of difference in terms of the total number of participants there at the top, but you do see an increase in the present value of benefits. That number there basically it tells us, what is the value of every single dollar that's been promised to our retirees, our employees who will receive this benefit in retirement. That's what that number represents. Below that, the total OPEB liability, 302 million there, has increased since the last valuation in 2021. And then there's a couple of important numbers you'll want to be aware of. First, the actuarially determined contribution, which I've boldened, ADC. That's the number that your consulting OPEB actuary is saying, look, this is the best way to kind of fund this liability if you hope to catch up and become 100% funded in due time. And then below that, you'll see projected retiree premiums or pay-go cost, and then a second number underneath that, implicit rate subsidy credit. The combination of these two numbers is the amount of assets that you can take out of this trust in the fiscal year that we end in June 2026. Those numbers represent what the actuary is saying they expect the cost of this benefit to be in that fiscal year. Now, these trusts, Section 115 trusts, they are irrevocably dedicated, meaning that the assets sitting in this trust, they're dedicated to the benefit itself. So that means, this benefit is going to cost a certain number of dollars in this fiscal year, and that certain number of dollars is the maximum amount that can be withdrawn from the account in that fiscal year as a result. The district participates in strategy 1 of the SERPT program. We have 3 strategies just for transparency. And your consulting OPEB actuary has assigned a discount rate as of the 23 valuation of 6%. We'll skip ahead. If my little remote will wake up. It won't wake up. Oh, there we go. So this is the SERPT account summary. We are looking at data from the inception of the trust, just about 13 years ago now, until October 14th when I pulled this data from our database. So we're in strategy 1. The initial contribution came in 2012. That was $1.7 million. Additional contributions have come in fairly consistently since then. They've totaled over $63 million, and we don't have any disbursements coming out of this trust in that time. Investment earnings of $43 million and $43 million, excuse me, $43 million, and then SERPT expenses, $477,000 for that amount gained. So as of the 14th of October, the assets in this trust are sitting at $108 million, excuse me. The money-weighted annualized net rate of return over that time, 7.52%. This is just a quick overview, but we'll take a look at this in a little bit of a closer detail here. Same amount of time. So from inception to the 14th of October, when I pulled this data, if we start all the way on the bottom right of this page, you'll see 7.52 in the bottom right column there. That's the same number we saw on the previous page, indicating from inception to the 14th of October. If you stay in that same far right column and you go up just row by row, we're seeing from inception to the end of the fiscal year that's being shown in that row. And then if you hop just one column over to the left on the same table, you'll see isolated fiscal years. So of course, we know the market doesn't exist in a bubble. Every single year looks different, sometimes dramatically different to the year before and the year afterwards. But all of that contributes to the 7.52 money weighted that we see on the bottom right there. I've also included the cash flow, so you can see contributions coming in every single year very consistently, no disbursements being taken out, and the cumulative numbers are there as well, just for your reference. And then this top table, that's showing us trailing snapshots. So it's actually a snapshot in time, 3, 5, and 10 years, going back from October the 14th, back 3 years, back 5 years, and then back 10 years. And the cumulative net rate of return there obviously looks different in each of those periods. Over the last 2 years or so, we've had a very robust conditions in the market. So you can see 14.93 there in the 3-year. And then if we go back 5 years and 10 years, obviously we're seeing the volatility that happened in 2020 to 21, and then of course 21 to 22 fiscal year as well. So that's why those numbers look different. We'll skip ahead. This slide here is showing us the funded status of the OPEB. So the blue bars here, you'll see that represents total OPEB liability. This information is taken from the GASB 75 valuations that you get from McLeod Watts. The little gray bars that are smaller, that represents the market valuation of assets. You can see as long as this benefit is being offered, the cost will increase over time because the cost of everything increases over time. Market valuation of assets is increasing over time as well consistently because of the contributions that come into the trust. The orange line represents the funded status. So as CFO O'Toole mentioned earlier, just under 25% funded as of the last valuation, which will be the 2023 valuation. So we'll move on to SEPT now. That's the Pension Pre-Funding Trust. This is all information that actually Mr. O'Toole covered earlier, so I will skip it in the interest of time, and we'll just dive straight into the SEPT account summary. So the district has been pre-funding the pension much less time. Like I mentioned earlier, the OPEB was being pre-funded since 2012. The SEPT is actually established just earlier this year. So the initial contribution came in April, totaling 333,000. Additional contributions have come in since then, totaling 666, for a total of just about $1 million. In here, SEPT expenses over that time, $819 for the 80,000 or so dollars that have been earned within the trust. So the money-weighted annualized net rate of return in just about a 6-month period, 25.9%. Now, unfortunately, on this next slide, I obviously don't have a whole lot of data to show. This is a very new trust. So I'm just showing the cash flow here, just for your reference, and then the same internal rate of return on the bottom right there, 25.9, which we saw on the previous page. As time goes on and I deliver this at future board meetings, you'll see trailing snapshots and, of course, increased data in the cash flow as well. I'll just take a brief moment to present the portfolio itself on these two trusts. We are unique within the program. Our program is called Pre-Funding Programs, and our investments are sectioned off their firewall from the pension fund itself. So quite unique within CalPERS, where are I believe, the only ones who function in this capacity. The portfolio, it's a very simple portfolio, actually. We have a menu of just 3 strategies in SERPT for OPEB, strategy 1, 2, and 3. The district is pre-funding in strategy 1, which is the more aggressive strategy. That has an expected yield of 6.4%, standard deviation of 11.5, and it's measured on a 20-year time horizon. On the pension pre-funding side, the expected return is 5.4%, standard deviation 8.4%, and that is measured on a 10-year. And then our portfolio here, they differ very slightly insofar as on the SEPT side, we don't deal in commodities for mitigating risk reasons, essentially. And then on the SERPT side, these 5 public asset classification, we're dealing in global equity, fixed income, REITs, TIPS, and commodities as well. So you can see in strategy 1, 49%, essentially half of it, is in global equity, 23% in fixed income, and then a smaller portion in REITs, TIPS, and commodities. Something that would be more conservative, less risky, would be strategy 3. We're essentially flipping global equity and fixed income upside down. So 23% would be in global equity, 51% of that would be in fixed income. And then in SEPT, we're obviously trying to mitigate some of the risk that you would feel in the pension fund itself. So that portfolio just looks different. It's not quite as aggressive as SERPT. 37% in strategy 1 is in global equity, 44% in fixed income, and then, of course, REITs and TIPS as well, but a much smaller portion. And then I always like to include the SERPT and SEPT time-weighted investment returns across 8 periods. We actually put these up on the website. So if you're ever interested, you can go up on there. Every single month we update this. It's trailed by about a week or so. In strategy 1, you can see of the 26 billion or so in this trust for OPEB, over just about 22.8 billion of it is sitting in strategy 1. So you are in good company. and we're performing well against the benchmarks in most of these time periods as well. In SEPT, the same is true for SEPT. Most of these assets are sitting in strategy one as agencies are trying to catch up to these liabilities. And of course, we don't have the 10-year just yet, but in time we will. And then I thought I would just include the time-weighted investment results from inception of each of these trusts. So SERPT, when it began in 2007, it only had one strategy and we didn't have SEPT at that time. So you can see all of that data going back to 2007, 2008 fiscal year. Obviously, we see these ebbs and flows, ups and downs in the market. The investment team at State Street, who handle these investments for us, they are measuring this on a 20-year time horizon. It is a longer investment period for a long-term benefit, obviously. And so we're not making any knee-jerk reactions to the market. In the years when things are performing exceptionally well, like in 2020 to 2021, we're not making adjustments to the portfolio as a result of that. Likewise, in the years when things don't go quite as planned, 2021 to 2022, we're not making knee-jerk reactions there either. We do have a 4-year ALM cycle, asset liability management cycle, where these will be looked at. And in fact, the next one will be happening in June 2026. So it's coming up. And then one quick change that I want to bring to your attention, we actually lowered the fees on our SERPT trust. That happened just about this time last year, the 1st of October, 2024. We were at 10 basis points for 10 fiscal years, and we were able to successfully implement a 1.5 basis point reduction to bring them down to 8.5 basis points. I believe that that's a record, keeping it there for 10 years and then bringing it down. I believe before that it was at 12 basis points for a couple of years, 14 prior to that as well. So no fee raises in all that time. On the SEPT side, that is a much newer trust. We don't have quite the volume of participants nor the volume of assets, but as time goes on, we'll definitely look into reducing the fees on that as well. We are obviously not for profit, so I believe we're the only not-for-profit Section 115 provider in the state of California. And then these are just quick reminders of the reimbursement and the liquidity of these Section 115 trusts. Being in a Section 115 trust, it is completely voluntary. It's not required to make contributions. You can make contributions at your own schedule. If the district were to seek disbursements out of either of these trusts, it is irrevocable to the dollar amount of the payment for that benefit itself in the fiscal year. So I've highlighted what those numbers ought to be for the fiscal year that's about to end in June next year. And then we provide some reporting benefits for the district. So you receive the GASB 75 report from your consulting OPEB actuary. We will provide the GASB 74, which is the schedule of changes in FMP, and that helps them produce the 75 report. And of course, we do provide trust support services. So myself being here today is one of the services we do provide, help with contributions, disbursements. And if you have any questions, you're very welcome to reach out to myself. I will have an email at the end of this presentation. You're also very welcome to come up to me and ask questions afterwards if you would prefer. Any questions from the board?
Do we have any questions for Ms. Lowe?
Line by line.
Yeah,
I say that right?
correct. Yes.
Do you have any questions? Nope. Well,
No.
excellent job. I appreciate the detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right, we'll move on to our next presentation item, Behavioral Health Response Update. Deputy Chief Mitchell, Battalion Chief Daly, and Kyle McDonald, Director of Government Affairs. Welcome.
It's a long walk. Yeah, traffic on the interstate. Thank you, President Wood. Good evening, directors, Chief House, colleagues, members of the public. Adam Mitchell, Deputy Chief. And behind me, I'll have these gentlemen introduce themselves here in a moment. They're all going to speak. As promised to you back in August, we are back here before you to provide you another update in our behavioral health response. Very early on in this situation, we recognized the size, scope, complexity, and we implemented a internal working group because we knew this was going to be a long haul, and developed a strategy of approach with an immediate, medium and a long-term approach, immediate focused on our crew safety while we still are able to be there for the public. The medium term was more about collaboration and working on changing of protocols to make sure that we had the right resources available at the right time for the folks that needed our help. And then the long term is about the sustainable changes, cross-discipline changes that are going to needed and are going to be needed in this space of behavioral health care. That isn't just about fire EMS, it's also about law enforcement, clinicians, our elected officials, and others. And so we're gonna take the approach here, and I'm gonna turn it over to Kyle McDonald here in just a moment. But today we're going to give you an update that focuses on the things there that you see in front of you. We're leading with transparency and collaboration, data-driven decision-making, our enhanced first responder and community safety, and then finally ensuring the people in crisis receive the right resources at the right time. So without further ado, I'm going to have Kyle come up and talk about a couple slides before Chief Daly.
Thank you, Chief. Hello, everybody. Kyle McDonald with the Planning and Development Division here. Let me click over to the next slide. There we go. So before I hand it over to Chief Daly, I want to reiterate what Chief Mitchell said. When we first found out about this in January and over the past 10 months, we established an internal working group to be able to address this. The way I think of it is we pulled together folks who have multiple lenses to push forward on one vision of what that might look like. This includes folks from community relations, planning and development, operations, of course, EMS, board clerk. It really does capture across the board folks that would be working on this issue to be able to move it forward. In terms of the information that we've been working on internally, it's one thing to meet and convene with a small working group. It's another thing to make sure that we want to ensure that our folks out in the field understand what's happening too. Chief Daly will talk about some of the bulletins that we've issued along the way. But in addition to that, to really understand what's been happening, we need to make sure that we are gathering accurate data. That's something that we'll delve into in greater detail too. So our work on this hasn't just been internal, it's been external as well. We've been forging really great relationships with the County of Sacramento, with Sacramento Sheriff's Office, WellSpace, who's the 988 provider, SCEMSA, as well as allied agencies across Sacramento County and the region as well. This has resulted in dozens of meetings, work sessions, emails, phone calls, all of the above, to make sure that we're unified in what our goal is and have an understanding what that is as we work towards it. So I'll kick it over to Chief Daly now to delve into a little bit of the transparency and communication.
Good evening, everybody. Sean Daly, Battalion Chief. First of all, for transparency, I want to start off with a couple of thank yous. So number one, thank you to Kyle for gathering all the information and putting the presentation together. And thank you to Candace McCowan in the background, who's doing all of our data collection and gathering. She's really been mining most of this data that we're using for a lot of our stuff. So Kyle and Chief Mitchell already mentioned some of the other members of our team, but it is truly a collaborative effort, and we're just trying to make things as best we can out of this situation for our members that are out there still running these calls. So thanks to everybody. Again, we've talked about this. Right now, we're sitting at about 1,900 calls total throughout the entire year that are behavioral health related as they're being reported on our reporting system. So that's actually a very small percentage of our total calls. However, it still seems to be the number one concerning topic that we have. If you've visited any of the stations recently, you'll know that that is the question that comes up at the coffee table, at least for me most often, is what are we doing with this and where's it going? So it does still remain at the forefront of most people's minds out there. So I think this mission is still very critical for us to spend a lot of time getting into. So again, the transparency, not only for you, I think Kyle mentioned the memos that we've sent to you. I believe you guys have received 6 memos since the onset of this back in February. The line has received 5 different updated memos or internal bulletins that have something to do with behavioral health response and changes. So for that, our intent is to make sure that we have organizational buy-in for the direction that we're going, and that we have an understanding from all of our members as to why we're doing what we're doing. And that way they can relay that message out to the public when they're asked for that as well. So. As you know, well, we saw a lot of numbers already, so I'm going to spare you that because I only got 2 minutes. So, but we do have a tremendous amount of data that we're getting, and that, I would say, from where I'm seeing, it looks like we are trending in a positive direction. The one number I'll share with you, and actually up until our last presentation, I was pretty proud of myself for doing this one equation and coming out with this number, but I'm not even sure it's positive. That's right. So, but as of September 1st, we started tracking specifically a new code in our CAD system for 988 transfers and 988 transfers that come back to us. Those are calls that are rejected either by the caller or they're returned to us because they have some sort of parameter that still requires us to respond. So of those since September 1st, and remember this is a pretty short time period, about 6 weeks, we have about 250 of them in our system. Of those, we have a new parameter where we create a ghost unit, which is just a placeholder in the CAD system. So dispatch can come back and recheck it. So those are typically for calls where in the past we would have had law enforcement join us on it. But for whatever reason, they're not joining us in this one. So we keep that placeholder. That way the call does not get sent out to our line crew. So if you think back to when we first started this, every one of those calls that was coming in was still getting dispatched out. And it was our goal to reduce some of those when it was inappropriate for our crews to go without law enforcement. So as of today, I'll give you the Cliffs Notes version. It looks like we've got about an 81% decrease in the number of those calls that are actually being dispatched out to our crews. So if you visit a firehouse and ask people, they're still going to tell you this is a problem, and they're seeing it every day because they still are. But in the background, what they don't see is those, that number of calls that is actually not reaching their dispatch at this point. So from my perspective, I think that's a positive, step forward. We still have obviously some work to do. So I'll spare you the rest of the data details on that. So. We've done a lot of work in the last several months. I would say the bulk of it has been done here over the summertime. Back in June, we had several meetings with the sheriff. We presented them some parameters and for which we did not want calls transferred from their dispatch center to ours. They met us on most of those. There was one that it was a standout that they stuck to, and they continued to transfer the calls to us. Our challenges early in the summer were primarily related to the consistency of when that call or that call type was transferred to us. Again, I'd say that we are moving in a positive direction as far as the consistency is. We may not like it on our end that we are still receiving some of those calls, but in analyzing them and looking at some of the data and the reasons why they were sent to us, it does seem the vast majority of them are in alignment with what the sheriff's stance was on that. So if we're looking at consistency from the sheriff to our dispatch center, that is, again, in my opinion, moving in a positive direction. There's still some work that we can do on that, but again, a lot of it comes down to the fact that we simply don't like that those calls are still coming because we would prefer them to not, but that's beyond our control at this point. So as of September 1st, we did implement some new dispatch parameters. As I mentioned, the 988 calls, and then some other protocols that dispatch is doing in the background, which again, either reduces the number of calls that are being transferred out to the line, or at least allows us to gather some more information in the interim. So again, those seem to be working as we're as we stand right now. We're only 6 weeks into that data collection, so time will tell if that continues to trend in a positive direction or not. But as of right now, it's much better than it was when we first started. So again, our goal in all this stuff has been to do a phased approach, short, medium, and long term. Some of the short-term stuff I'd say has been met. Some of it we're still working on right now as far as our internal policies and protocols that we're still getting shored up. They're being reviewed and I anticipate being out very soon. And the overall transparency and coordination between our agencies, I think, has still been very positive as well. So we still have some work to do in the long term, but for now, we're looking good.
Mitchell. Oh, he's still talking. So.
Thanks, Chief Daly and Kyle. So as we finish up the update to you all, those of us that have been out in the field and have run these calls understand that these are complex and high stakes emergencies. They have been and they will continue to be. But we still, as we heard from you and from just from us bringing forward our team and what our priorities are, first is our first responder safety, to make sure that we're doing everything we can, that our men and women that are out in the field have those tools and options available to them to not put themselves in an undue risk environment without having all of their things, all of the tools available. Partner coordination has been successful, but we have more work there to do. We still have some more things to continue to work on that Chief Daly pointed out. And then the timely and appropriate care for the residents in crisis is ultimately what we're here to do. We're here to provide that, but we are also not standing alone in our environment as fire, EMS, rescue response to take care of all of it. We want to make sure that everybody that has a slice of this responsibility is at the table and doing that whatever they can as well to provide the services to the community. So finally, our next steps and where we still are focusing on the work that Chief Daly had mentioned as well, the dispatch, 2 dispatch centers were a secondary answering point. We get calls transferred to us from law enforcement as a primary. Some more coordination and collaboration is needed there. You saw it in the slide, and I'm going to thank Chief Daly for all the work he's done and being somewhat of a unicorn and being able to speak law enforcement and fire, coordinating between our 2 dispatch centers and our 2 disciplines. We've drilled down and figured out a lot of where the inconsistencies have existed and the things that we need to do to fix them. So that's one of our big focuses moving forward. The additional coordination, as I mentioned, with other first responders, such as clinicians in the 988. You see that up there, behavioral health responsibilities. Working with our LEMSA, they've been very supportive in helping us develop protocols to protect our folks and their licensures. And then also at the County of Sacramento level, we've had those meetings that Kyle had mentioned. We've had dozens of them. And I want to say thank you to Kyle for being our custodian of records. He's got a timeline that he's been making sure that we keep up. It's up to 4+ pages now of just all of the different benchmarks we've hit in the last 10+ months. It's been a lot of work to get here. Chief Daly mentioned our policy implementation. Again, that's it with the operations right now getting reviewed for final implementation to reinforce our members to understand that there's tools that are out there and that the agency is behind them and they have something to point to that's easy. Right now, things are kind of spread out, but to have that policy implemented, we're right there and it should be implemented here very shortly. I can't express my gratitude to the team and everybody that's been working on this for how much work has already gone into this. But we are very, very understanding that our work is nowhere close to being done. This is going to be a years-long process for dealing with. It's been something in society that has been needing to be addressed, and we're in this position now. And as we follow up on our priorities, we are going to be in it for the long haul. We have some ideas, and we're going to continue to do the things we're doing. And remain focused on the goals that were presented to you, that we've heard from you and we've heard from our members, and we know that are out there for moving us forward. So that concludes our presentation on the update, and we're open to any questions that you all might have.
Appreciate all the work from all 3 of you, and just want to, from my perspective, I think you guys have all done great work, and it's good information. I'm just still concerned. You guys can train all day long. You can prepare for going into a fire and those risks, but you don't train, you don't prepare for the risks associated with these behavioral health calls. And I just think the 1900, the risk to our people at 1,900 calls is still far too great. We need to get that down to zero as much as possible. You guys don't have a risk when an old guy like me falls in our driveway. There's no risk to you guys coming on that call. But going to these behavioral health calls, the risks are massive and they're unknown. We can't plan or prepare for them. So great work, but a lot to be done to get us down to what's an appropriate number for our people. Director Stark.
Your presentation, you said that there were 5 of 6 parameters that the sheriff agreed to. What are those parameters and what is the one that the sheriff did not agree to?
We can get the specifics on that. It was a letter that was documented from the county fire chiefs to the Sheriff Cooper, and there was a response. I don't have the letter in front of me. There was one, the 6th one had to do with, if I recall correctly, and please, it was about a definition of what they considered violent versus what we would consider violence, if I remember correctly, but I would really like to see the 5 or 6. I don't have those written down in front of me, but we'll get it to you so you understand.
You were correct. It was a legal definition of from the sheriff and law enforcement's interpretation of what is considered a violent crime and what is not. And we debated back and forth, and their legal opinion upheld. We're looking at parameters on how to change that also from our end. So it was one exception to the 6, I think it was. We have a huge win on the 5, and it was transferring the calls. So that's an education piece. When you look at transparency and you look at the work we have to do, the work we still have to do is with our own dispatch center too. And so that would help achieve that number 1 that they are holding fast on. And so we're shifting that work from where the sheriff is justified to saying exactly what he did, to say that they're holding fast on there because it's a legal definition of how they interpret the law versus when that is transferred to our dispatch center, the work we have to do is with our own dispatch center. What I'm learning, change at our dispatch center is hard. Is hard. And it's not impossible. There's been a lot of great work done. That's where we have some work to do right now. And we're
But
focused on
that's a key parameter. I mean, the definition of what is violence.
correct.
Yeah, and just, Chief, and I appreciate that. I think it's worth noting that is a call transfer to our dispatch center. That's one aspect of what we're talking about. The actual dispatch is where, for our own folks, the wins that Chief Daly's talked about, for us to be able to change what's actually coming, where it used to just be comes in and goes out, took a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of legal review and things like that. Like that is actually where the rubber meets the road and where we have some immediate work that we're working to get that better, but it's going to take some more work to get it to where it needs to be. To President Wood's point, we're not done, but we are better.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. And I think that's probably something that you can elaborate on, or I know Chief Daly can. What are we doing with that number 1 that's getting transferred over that we didn't have a win from our side on, right? That's where I believe Chief Daly has implemented, has a good matrix for a risk profile, right? Or something along those lines. Now it's for us, the county chiefs, to give direction to our dispatch center and get our dispatch center to follow through with that next step.
So I assume that policy that we're awaiting is going to be through the policy committee.
It's actually an operations policy. So, we will update you on it. Again, Chief Daly's done a ton of work here. The risk assessment, we didn't want to hold up to finish getting that done because ultimately not only our own dispatch would be doing it, the sheriff's dispatch that received the primary call would be doing it, and we would never see it until the right resource responds, right? So it's an operations policy, but you will be updated on it when it's implemented. And again, it will likely and should continue to change because of these other things that we're working on, but we didn't want to wait to get the policy done.
Thank you.
Director Weber.
Yes. First and foremost, the 80-something% you said that is not getting through anymore, that phenomenal work. I appreciate the dogs with a bone over there, and I know you're not going to let go of that. But I'm sure it's ignorance on my behalf. But you had mentioned memos that had gone out to the crews, such as guidelines. I'm sure they're somewhere, maybe they're in Metro apps. If we can talk and I can look at those and see what the crews are actually seeing, what guidelines they have been given. I know you're going to perfect those in the future, but I'd like to see that as well. Just so when I have conversations with them, I go, okay, we're here,
Yep.
and we hope to get here, and the policy is going to come out. And excuse me, should be very clear to the troops as far as the captain's making the decisions at this point with the new information and the policy that's coming out. So
Yeah.
again, great work. That's a big number and a very big win. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get you those. And I'll just say it, none of us like to be doing it that way because it's been so reactive to get to where, you know, we were so surprised. We're in it now. We're going to work on it. But that to make those changes over time, just as somebody that's been involved as these folks are, you start going, I can't remember like what, where, and that's why this policy will be helpful there. But yeah, over the time, I mean, I've got the document here of the timeline with all the different things. It's very comprehensive, but we'll get those to you so you have awareness.
Thank you.
The last one went out for the changes from, for that went into October 1st was the last update. Yeah.
Director Costa.
Thank you. Great work. Quick question. We talk about all of our partners and we say dozens of briefings, meetings, work sessions. Has there been any asks of us? And if so, what are they?
Thank you for asking. So that is what I'm talking about when I'm saying long-term and the approaches that we're going to need to take. There has not at this point been anything specific asked of you all other than to be aware that this is going on, which you all are. And when you get the opportunity to talk amongst other elected officials, but specifically to what long-term change looks like, it's going to take you all being involved with others elected. We have had some of those initial briefings with our county elected officials on the board, some of them, but it's not going to end there. There are that next step. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. That next step involves exactly what you're talking about, that long-term piece, legislative change, things that will be the sustainable part of what right looks like for our community and our members.
Thank you. And I think as Director Weber indicated, some of that information that's going out for us to have. So when we're meeting with members of this organization and then externally, it'd be helpful. So thank you.
Yep. We'll make sure you get, I'm looking at Marnie. I know we'll get it to you through the
Okay.
email system.
I want to clean that up real quick. So the memos, we'll get a packet together for the memos, have Marty send this to all the directors. And same thing, we can get a speaking points that I know Kyle's all over with talking points for where we're looking for legislative help on, and we'll get those sent out to you. And I think that's a good way to clean that up. And we'll funnel that from your office over to Marty's and get that to all the directors.
I knew Kyle wouldn't let us off the hook.
Yeah.
So
And I want to go back real quick because I want to clear this up for the record since this is a public meeting. The one, I did find the document, seemed to come prepared most times in my packets. And since this was a talking point, the one sticking point that they did not agree with transferring those was any call where a violent crime or assault has likely occurred and deputies have not yet been dispatched, i.e. call is pending. Yep. Excuse me? We would not until the sheriff is either en route or on scene saying it's clear, but they're not going to stop transferring those calls over to us because violent crime comes into play of different levels of medical emergencies where they don't want, I believe, any of the liability back on their dispatch center or the sheriff's department. So that's where they had a sticking point to where when we wrote that up, and that was the document that I did forward to all of you that all the county chiefs signed, and we gave direction to have support from the county chiefs, not just Metro Fire, take that to our meeting with the sheriff and his executive team.
So, and that sixth bullet point, because that was the call transfer to us, that is where we've implemented what Chief Daly was talking about with the ghost unit. If there's the scene safety component, it gets a ghost unit and our dispatch checks back. So it's not just, it comes in and we send it. So that's that balancing point of how we're addressing that one right now.
Good, good. Any other comments, questions? Thanks again for everything. Very detailed. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, if I can, just a couple notes on that.
Yeah.
That I'll finish with. I want to thank the team also and the work you guys did on that. Chief Daly, Kyle, Chief Mitchell, but the entire team. The data capturing, testing that system and getting new data and coding. Phenomenal job. 81%. Yeah, it's not perfect, but by any metrics, that's a huge win in a short amount of time. It's worthy to note. I'm asked often, not only by you guys, but from other partners, how's our relationships over this? Because it's tested the waters, right? The sheriff came out and did something that put everybody on their heels. I've made that comment publicly. He did it for a whole variety of reasons. I stick by this. Ultimately, he's making our whole region safer, taking a very proactive approach to put us all back and saying we need to do this differently. So what's our relationship with the sheriff and the sheriff's department? Phenomenal. My relationship with the sheriff is wide open door. We have communication regularly on this. I think Chief Daly would echo this. Our relationship with the sheriff's department, all the deputies in the field, phenomenal. They're here to help. They have the same mission. They want to help us any way they can. Our relationship and understanding truly what 988 and WellSpace does has been education for all of us, including the County of Sacramento. Them having the contract, reading the contract, understanding what they do, we've challenged them a bit, and it's made us all better, including WellSpace. So we have follow-up meetings with WellSpace. County Board of Supervisors, phenomenal help, understanding and providing assistance and clarity. It put them on their heels in a variety of different divisions that they oversee. It's made all of us better, and the meetings that we've had with each of the supervisors in our jurisdiction over this have been extremely positive, eye-opening, with a whole bunch of follow-up. And we've all agreed we're going to continue this with getting the right people in the right room to make change, to get us over making that 81%, 100%. Will we get there? We'll challenge ourselves. It'll never be perfect. But I commend the team, 81%. Thank you. Thank you for taking the lead on this. Thanks for putting the time in. This is about leadership. This is about protecting our members and the public at the same time. Thank you to all of you pushing the envelope, getting this a very clear direction that we cannot move forward the way we were.
All right. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. All right, we're going to move on to our public hearing. This is an introduction and first reading of the proposed ordinance 2025-02, amending the 2025 California Fire Code, Title 24, California Code of Regulations, Part 9. This is Deputy Fire Marshal Diana Schmidt, and I think I have to open the public hearing now. So we're open. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, President Wood, directors, Chief House, colleagues. Diana Schmidt, Deputy Fire Marshal, and I'm here just to give you a very quick overview and background for the ordinance that you're considering tonight. Every 3 years, the international codes are amended to address new technologies, changes, new data, and oftentimes tragedy. So the code will reflect that. California then adopts portions of that international code and also makes their own changes. There are laws then that allow us as a local jurisdiction to make modifications to the California Fire Code that reflect what is needed of our community and for our firefighter safety. Metro Fire has always had an ordinance, even since its inception, and even the predecessor agencies. We are making a couple of changes this year, which is why maybe this seems like a new process, even though I'm telling you we do this every 3 years. All previous code to code cycles, we really haven't made any modifications, but we are making modification this cycle to how we're adopting it. In years past, we've gone to the cities of Citrus Heights and Rancho Cordova, and then Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, each having our own ordinance that has to be adopted through each of those agencies, and then we utilize that. The Health and Safety Code allows us as a special district to actually have just one cohesive document that is adopted by our board and then ratified by each of the cities and the county. It's a much more succinct, efficient, and serves our community developers, builders, homeowners in a much more clear and concise fashion, which is why we're going about doing it this way this year. So the other big change that we're making this year, and you'll notice in all of the changes, red lines within the code, is Chief Nygren and myself met extensively with all of our other agency partners. We met with the chief building officials, the county executives, the county planners, Citrus Heights, Rancho Cordova planning building officials, to ask them, what are your needs from our ordinance? Has it served you in the past? Are there modifications that we can make that will not sacrifice our community or firefighter safety? And in fact, there are modifications within this code that we actually think helps benefit firefighter safety as it relates to all of our vacant buildings, making sure that we can get tenants in there so they're occupied and no longer a blight to our community, healthier community, obviously providing tax base, but then also not having that unknown when firefighters are going into a boarded up building, potentially then having to also risk their lives to potentially save, transients that are living inside there. The big changes that we've made are allowing also 13R fire sprinkler systems. In all previous fire codes or ordinances, we have not allowed that. We heard from all of our developers and our cities and county that with the cost of housing and the need for low-income housing, those 13R systems are a hybrid between residential systems and commercial systems that are much cheaper, cost effective to install. And we already are seeing contractors asking us, when can we submit plans with 13R systems to utilize in our upcoming developments? So tonight we're just presenting the ordinance for your consideration, first reading, and we'll be doing a second reading in the near future. I will say we have had great response from our partners with Rancho Cordova, Citrus Heights, and the county. They're very appreciative of these modifications, changes, and they do support this ordinance. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you. Do we have questions? Director Costa.
You answered my first question. So you've been working with the agencies,
Correct.
and they're supportive of this new process of ratification versus an ordinance.
Yes, they are.
Very good. And then you mentioned on the fire sprinkler piece,
Yes.
working with the developers.
Mhm.
So my next question was, you've been working with the agencies, but have we worked with other stakeholders that would be impacted one way or the other with these?
We've been talking with a lot of the BIA, the building
Industry
administration.
Association.
Yes, and working with them. One of the huge changes that they were requesting was fire flow and water requirements under construction. In the past, we actually removed all Chapter 33 from the fire code, not allowing them to make modifications, reductions of fire flow under construction. We've struck all of that out to allow for there to be lesser fire flow in communication with our suppression division in terms of what do you need during construction? What can you provide? And is it okay if we remove this? And so that was obviously, one of their asks, and we fulfilled it.
Fantastic. And I know you said it, but I just want to repeat it, that we're making a lot of changes given the feedback we received.
Correct.
That these changes are not putting the men and women of this organization in harm's way or the community. It's really.
Absolutely not.
we're
Yes.
managing both.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's quite the contrary. Thank you.
Public comment? Is that
Is there,
next?
yeah, is there anyone online wishing to make a public comment? Please use the raise your hand feature. And if there's anybody in the room wishing to make a public comment, please come to the podium. No public comments. Thank you.
We need to take a vote to pass this on to the next reading then.
We do. Yes.
And I'll need a motion for that.
Yes.
You'll need a motion to approve the introduction and first reading
Mhm.
and waive the reading of the ordinance and to set the matter for a second hearing to vote on final approval of the amended ordinance.
Gilman, is that your director, or Director Clark, is that your motion?
Absolutely.
We have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, great.
So
I-
we have a motion and a second. Can we get the roll, please?
Yes. Director Sailors. Aye. Director Gould. Absent. Director Stark.
Aye.
Director Clark. Director Weber.
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
President Wood.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you so much for all the work that went into this.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right, next up, we have an action item. It's the Sacramento LAFCO election of special district representatives, and this is being presented by Ms. Ribberg.
Yes, we had you had previously nominated Director Jones, and she is now on the ballot. And what we need to do this evening is there are three separate elections. So one of them is for a 4-year regular term, and you can select one person. There is also one person can be selected for the 2-year regular term. And then there's also one person that could be selected for the 4-year alternate term. And this is for the Sacramento LAFCO Special District Representative.
Director Jones up for a 4-year seat. right?
Yes, she is up
Yeah.
for the 4-year seat. That is correct.
So do we have to vote on
yeah.
these? one
So
at a
there
time?
needs to be a motion and second on each one separately. So
Okay. So on the 4-year seat, we have Director Jones. Do I have a motion to nominate her?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second.
yes, Director Sailors,
I vote for Director Jones.
Director Stark,
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Weber,
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
President Wood.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And for the alternate seat, I've got, I'm sorry.
2-year term first.
Yeah,
Oh,
the first is,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, and
For
there
the-
are 4 candidates there.
For the 2-year term, I've got Brandon Rose. I did get word from or speak with Director Jones earlier today, and she wanted to make it known that she would support Brandon Rose as our nominee. But I'm open to any other discussion.
Knowing Brandon Rose from SMUD, definitely we would nominate.
So I've got a motion from Director Clark, and I got a second from Director Stark.
Perfect. All right, Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Stark.
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Weber.
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
President Wood.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I've got another voice of support there on the alternate seat, Charlie Moore, who's the incumbent. I've got a voice of support for Mr. Moore. I don't know if you guys want to have any other discussion or want to get a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for Charlie Moore.
I've got a motion
Second.
and a second. If we can get the roll, please.
Yes, Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Stark,
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Weber, Director Costa.
Aye.
President Wood.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Moving on to reports. I have nothing for the president's report. Chief House.
Yeah, good evening, directors, colleagues, members of the public. It's with great pride I announce the appointment of Joe Aldridge tonight to the rank of Assistant Chief. That was effective October 17th, 2025. Chief Aldridge's assignment will be C-Shift Operations Assistant Chief. And I'd like Chief Aldridge to come up to the podium and say a couple words.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hello, directors, Chief House, Metro members, members of the public. I've addressed you before. Obviously, I know all of you. I know everyone out here too. So it's kind of awkward to come up and introduce myself, but I've addressed you as a battalion chief, 522 rep. But I am very honored to be here, humbled to be appointed as an assistant chief and in charge of the operations on C-Shift. I'm excited about it and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. So you have any questions for me?
Any comments or questions for Chief Aldridge?
Congratulations.
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 All right, and a congratulations to Chief Nygren. She's been appointed or selected to represent FDAC and Metro Fire on the Office of the State of Fire Marshal's Firework Task Force. Thank you for
Excellent.
accepting that, and I know you'll represent us well. Thank you for doing that.
Congratulations.
And then, as you know, I am a veteran. I'm proud to say that we, our Uniform and Policy Committee is recognizing all of our military members. We're proud to recognize and honor 55 of our people that are either retired, active, or veterans in any way. In early November, I'll be making personal visits to each station where they're assigned to, starting on a Sunday, working my way through the entire week until I can shake each one of their hands, thank them for their service, and the Uniform Committee has approved a selection of a pin representing their service that they can proudly wear on their uniform and their Class A's. So I look forward to doing that and shaking all their hands and telling them thank you for serving our country. I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who played a role in Engineer Mark Rogers' celebration of life. All the planning and preparation that led up to that event, every other fire chief that was there came up to me and said, man, you guys honored him extremely well. You do this well. I'm proud to say we do it well. It's something that I hope we don't do all the time and have to do it well, but when we do it, we do it well. And every fire chief that was there and every other organization just expressed their sincere gratitude for the invitation, but said our team that was part of that to make sure we honored Mark and his family's wishes. We did it crossing every T with respect and honor. So everybody that was involved, whether you were in logistics coordination, labor, I know Sean's in the room, thank you. However you supported that event, thank you. Thank you from this organization, from me, and I know on behalf of all the board of directors, just thank you. It was a powerful reminder of our unity and compassion that define the fire service and the broader network we're fortunate to be part of. To a just more celebrative event, if that's a word. Many thanks to everybody that was involved in the Metro Fire 25th anniversary celebration on October 18th. I was saddened to have to miss it. I was going to have 2 cars there. Again, I failed in bringing my cars. Whaley was not happy with me. I think Brenda wasn't happy with me, but had to take care of some family stuff. And it was a meaningful opportunity. I know that we had members, board of directors, and a ton of retirees that were certainly proud to be part of this organization, not only to show off their cars, but to have a great celebration on history and what 25 years meant to them and predecessor agencies and all that. So I understand it was well received. The Culture Club, which is a fairly new club that is in the organization. I think they're, I don't know, is Jill still in the house? I think it's about a year old now. Thank you to all the Culture Club who put on this tremendous event. A lot of the planning, organizing, coordination to make sure everything went well. I think it was something we've wanted to do as far as utilizing the parking lot and space we have out front in our whole own headquarters building. So I look forward to having other events doing the same thing, and I understand the weather was great. So just thanks for everybody that put that together. Success. And for tonight, that's the end of my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have any comments or questions for the chief tonight? Nope. All right. Well, thanks so much. Understand we have no operations, admin, or support and EMS report. So we'll move on to 522. Good evening, Captain Scullard.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Chief House, members of the public, colleagues. Sean Scullard, Vice President, Local 522. First off, congratulations to Chief Joe Aldrich, Assistant Chief Joe Aldrich. We've got to be more specific on that now. So congrats. A little sad because he's not going to be able to be a labor rep anymore, but that's okay. I think he's going to do fantastic things for the organization. He already has, and we're excited for you. So congrats. Additionally, I wasn't able to go to the event on the 18th. I was out of town for a much needed and long overdue getaway with my family. So, but it did sound like it was fantastic. And unfortunately, I was excited because I was going to bring my Jeep that I have, but it broke down at a car show the week before. So, so I wasn't going to be able to bring it anyways. So, so Chief House, it's okay. I wasn't able to do it as well. His are much cooler than mine. I will let you know just a real brief update. We had general membership on October 9th at the Union Hall. President Jameson was nominated, accepted his nomination, and is going to be our president for another 2 years, ran unopposed. So I think all of us are excited for that. I know he does a great job representing us in the region, and I know all the other agencies would agree that they're very happy with him in that position. So congratulations to him. And then also I accepted a nomination and ran unopposed. So love it or hate it, but you get me for another 2 years. So I say that lightheartedly. I really do love this position. I have been able to work in the firehouse recently. It was something that I kind of told myself I needed to do to remind myself why exactly I make the sacrifices to take this position on, and it was fantastic. I loved being back in a firehouse, riding in that front seat and just running calls, and it definitely puts things into perspective. So that was great. But honestly, I love representing the membership. I love representing this organization. I love this organization. I love the people that work here, and very happy to represent all people that work here, represented or not. So thank you very much, and I'm contained unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. to you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but thank you.
And condolences.
Now you're stuck. Exactly. Thank
so
you.
do we have any other comments or questions for Captain Scollard?
No, all I gotta say is that you love us and we love you too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Captain. Moving on, then Executive Committee does not have a report out. Comm Center JPA Deputy Chief Mitchell. Good evening.
Thank you again, President Wood. Just back for a moment as an alternate board member. Chief Rika couldn't make the meeting, so I attended in his place. The meeting took place on October 14th, where Cosumnes Fire appointed a new primary representative to the board, a recently appointed Deputy Chief Josh Freeman. We also voted on and supported a couple of technology upgrades at the center that are part of their strategic plan or in alignment with continuing to upgrade the technology there. So that we stay ahead of it. You all are aware technology changes quickly, so I was happy to support those initiatives. And our next meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday, October 28th at 9 a.m. And a report, unless there's questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions on the Comm Center JPA report? Thanks, Chief. Finance and Audit Committee, Director Jones isn't here. Who's Director Stark?
We received a bi-monthly fiscal report through August 31st, 2025 from CFO O'Toole. I'm sure that'll be coming to all of us. And our next meeting is January 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Policy Committee, Director Costa.
Thank you. No report. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 13th.
Thank you. Moving on to board member comments and questions. Director Sailors.
I'm contained, thank you.
Director Clark.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for the reports, and I'm grateful to our members and especially our executive staff is doing such a good job. And Chief, thank you for the open and communications with the different agencies with which we're affiliated or we work with. I just love to see the open communication, and that's what we need to do. We need to talk to each other and to better serve our community. That's all I have.
Thank you, Director. Director Stark. Director Costa.
No comment.
Director Weber.
I just want to say, hello, Kyle. Nice to see you. I miss you. Wish we could see more of you, but still nice work behind the scenes, your team. Thank you.
Thanks. I have just two things I want to say. First of all, I want to thank April and Captain Nunez for all their work putting together the Fall into Safety program that we had on the 11th. It was a good turnout. Appreciate the crew from 61 being there, and all of our partners that were there, the Burn Institute, UC Davis, State Farm. I forget the name of the company that was doing the CPR instructions, but it was a good turnout and good time, and appreciate everyone that put that together. And I also wanted to thank the Culture Club and all the work that they did for the 18th, because that was a beautiful event. Great day. But now there's 3 times that you've missed putting your car in something related to the organization. So I don't think you do. Yeah. I don't think you do, Chief. So you'll have to prove us wrong next year at the Hot Rods and Hops event for the Burn Institute next September. So look forward to seeing your car then. So you got 9 months, 10 months to buy one, go get one, do something. All right. All right. With that, we will go into closed session. Thank you. We're back from closed session. Council Lavra, would you report out, please?
Yes, thank you, President Wood. The board met in closed session under the closed session agenda. Item number 1, public employee performance evaluation of the board clerk. No reportable action was taken. The board also met in closed session on public employee performance, fire chief. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next meeting is November 13th. We'll see you all then. Happy Halloween.